It is Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance, weekly scrap number 104. Tonight's guest is the incomparable Steve Robertson. He has 33 years in the fire service, the vast majority of them with Columbus, Ohio Division of Fire. He is currently the lieutenant on Engine 18. He is a subject matter expert when it comes to engine operations, and you may have heard of a little hot program called Stretching for Success. He has taught everywhere worth speaking about. He's got the certs, and as always, here on the scrap, one of the most important things, he has the street cred and the respect of his peers, which I think is one of the highest compliments you can receive. So, welcome my brother, Steve Robertson, scrap number 104.
Thanks, Corley. Appreciate you having me on here. I'm excited to be here. You know, I enjoy what you do, and I think you get a lot of quality talent on here and get some good information out there to everybody across the country. So I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm so excited for tonight, man. It's been working on it, and now it's here, so I'm excited. And did I miss anything in the intro? Anything you want to add? Anything I want to say?
Enough about me. Let's go.
To the audience, get your questions ready. I count on you to keep us on our toes. And they're already chiming in because John Naninga said, "It's the man, the myth, the legend." He said it in all caps. Joey Hayes says, "This is going to be fire." Joe Gavita said, "Here we go. We've got lots of rocker fingers coming in." Tony Nunes said, "Going to be strong words tonight." And Anthony Rowett said, "Doesn't get any better than Steve." So there's a lot of hype already. Guys, Facebook has completely changed the format, so I'm adapting and overcoming as we speak. All right. Right out the gate, I always like to reach out to my guests and ask them, hey, what do you want to talk about? What are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? That sort of question. And, of course, you sent me back a wonderful list of topics. And one of the things that stuck out, you said, don't take my word for it. Vet the information. And, man, I love that. So I just want to tell you, go. What did you mean by that?
Well, information's everywhere out here. I mean, I look back when I started in the 80s and, at 18 years old, I'm fighting fire. To get information back then, you read Fire Engineering, Firehouse magazine. You read what Tom Brennan said. You read what Vincent Dunn said. You read these legends, and they were all vetted folks. I'm not saying all information out there is bad. That's not what I'm saying, but the folks today, the younger firefighters today, have all this information. It's almost information overload. What do you believe? What don't you believe? So the point I'm making when I say that is, don't take my word for it. Vet me, vet the information. You have to vet the instructor and the information being taught. Jerry Herbst says it all the time. There's no copy and paste solution to this. You have to take the information, vet it, and make it applicable to you and your fire department. Don't just, I'm going to go down just a small rabbit hole right out of the chute.
Do it. It's already starting on number one. Love it.
The damn Cleveland load. It's a forestry load. It's the worst load YouTube ever invented, right? So we have this load that is a forestry load that we want to put in wells and high rise. So you've been told your entire career, don't walk over a kink. What do? You put a 90-degree kink every 6 feet. How in the hell does that make sense to anybody? There's 100 other things you can do other than that. Get out there and find something better, because that is going to get somebody hurt with big hose in a well on a 65 PSI standpipe. I'm done with the Cleveland load. I want to bring it up. I want to get it the hell out of the way before we start.
Right out the gate. I'm telling you, my department went through a love affair with the Cleveland load that started with a training officer that loved it, and then now thankfully it's no longer our load. So that's why I'm smiling so much when you brought it up right out the gate. Man, I got to read you some of these. Stretch It Buddy from Chadwick Cavini. Arthur Ashley says, Steve is my engine hero. Basil said, this is going to be great. Sorry, Basil. David Pruitt, already totally on point. Drowning in information, starving for wisdom from Dirk Janiak. Dude, you got so much love coming at you. I can't even keep up. So let's get to the questions. First in engine placement, man. I listened to you.
Yeah.
I listened to you with the Brass Tacks, Hard Facts guys. Man, great episode. But everybody loves, as the first line goes, so goes the fire, right? And then you said something so beautiful, man. It's as the first placement goes, so goes the fire. So run with it.
So yeah, I mean, Andy Fredericks a long time ago said the fire ghost is the first line, and I added something to that because I wholeheartedly believe it. The first line is going to go as positioning goes. You get one shot to position the apparatus correctly. Over the years with pre-connects and such, how many people were taught to line up their crosslays with the front door, right? And then you have short setbacks. Now I've got 200 feet of hose and a 10-foot setback, and I got a mess. That leads to me to see three sides of the building: pull pass, pull pass, pull pass. You're leaving room for the truck. You're getting to see three sides. But then guys go, well, I got a 90-degree stretch off my crosslay if I do that. Well, there's ways to do that. So let's be problem solvers and talk about it. If we simply take the nose of our rig and nose it toward the fire about 3 feet, that 90-degree stretch is now a 45.
Right on.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
so if you're running crosslays, nose toward the fire. If you're running off the rear, stretching off the rear, which I believe everybody should be, but that's just my opinion, then you put your tailboard toward the fire, because now when I come off the tailboard, we're not stretching down the middle of the street where the truck wants to park. We see guys all the time do a great job pulling past the fire, and the next thing they do is they stretch a damn line right down the middle of the street. The truck still doesn't have a place to park.
Right.
If you take that 2 foot angle, 2 foot, maybe 3 foot, and get that tailboard facing toward the fire, you're naturally going to take an angle out of the street, and it's going to clean it up for the truck and leave them a place to park.
Dude, and it's just that simple. I mean, it's you don't think it matters that much, but like you said, once you street vetted it, then it's that simple.
And when you get that 2 to 3 feet, when you go out and try that, you're going to go, man, that's a lot easier. It really is. And again, I'm not saying turn your truck sideways in the street. That's not what I'm saying. It doesn't take a lot. It's just a couple feet, and you just have to play with your rig and see what works for you.
What works.
But I'm tired of hearing the excuse, well, we can't pull past because we got crosslays. Come on, you're better than that. We have to be. If that's all you got, then we're in trouble.
Right on. The estimating the stretch. Now, before we get into estimating the stretch too much, because you got some slides to talk about, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the deal. The
Yes.
strap is going experimental tonight. Steve has been brave enough. Kurt kind of kicked it off, but I'm trying to show slides while we talk. So if we lose connection or anything, trust us, we'll be back. We're just working on making this whole slide thing work. So here we go. Steve, we're going to talk about estimating the stretch. You ready for slide 1?
Yeah, man, hit it up.
I'm going to try and make this work. Not saying it will, but we're going to try.
Hey, man, that's a good start.
So far, so good.
Is everybody seeing that like we are? That's perfect. All right, so here's my thing with estimating stretch. It's a lost art, and I don't think a lot of it's even being taught anymore, and it's simply not being taught because we went to pre-connected hand lines. And when pre-connected hand lines, we got away from bulk beds in the 80s, early 90s, and people forgot how to do it. And the problem we have is the stretch estimation actually sets up the position of the first apparatus. How far past the fire do we pull, right? Everybody wants to know, well, that's situation dependent. Well, is it really? Because if I don't give you the full emphasis of why we're pulling past and how far, it doesn't matter. We're not accomplishing both goals of pulling past the fire, seeing three sides, leaving room for the truck. I'm eating excess hose I don't need. I'm eating excess hose I don't need in the street instead of in a short setback where we end up with a big pile. So the basic rule of thumb for estimating stretch is length plus width plus setback from the street. So you take the length of the structure plus the width of the structure plus the setback. And then if it's a 2-story dwelling, you add a length of hose. Now, does it take 50 feet to go from the first floor to the second floor? No.
Right.
So we build a little fluff into the formula there. Remember, we're not building a bull of a watch. We're not getting out a laser pointer. We're not doing any of that. We're getting it close. So let's take that next slide. So there's a 40. Go ahead and hit the next one. 40 by 30. You add those two numbers together, that's 70 feet that we need right there. Next slide. Setback from the street's 25. So then now we're up to 95. And then the last one. So then we add one length. 95 and 50 is 145. You only need 145 feet of hose to cover that entire structure.
Right on.
All right. Front to back, top to bottom, all of it. Here's the thing. If we're carrying a 200-foot lay, a 200-foot pre-connect, what do you do with the other 55 feet? Where does it end up?
Right.
It ends up in a mess. It ends up in a mess in the middle of the street, either in the middle of the street or in the yard, and then the backup line's on top of it. It's an absolute nightmare. Everybody's thinking, okay, I want you to go ahead and start doing math pulling into this fire. That's not the case at all. Do you live in a cul-de-sac, Corley, or in a subdivision?
I'm in the subdivision, yeah, not a cul-de-sac, but yeah.
Okay, but a subdivision. Let me see if my ESPN's working tonight. So in your subdivision, let me guess, there's 3 to 4 styles of homes, all within 1 to 200 square feet of each other.
No, you're dead on.
Okay, and I bet if I look down the street, everyone has the exact same setback.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if I go,
you get on Google Earth, you could just put a laser pointer on them, but yeah.
So if I go to your house on an EMS run and I estimate the stretch, am I going to be within 100 to 200 square feet of that entire subdivision?
Almost without fail in my subdivision for sure.
Absolutely. So if that's the case, if I go out on an EMS run and I estimate the stretch on your house, and then I go to the fire right beside it, it's a little bit bigger. So guess what? Instead of going 2 houses past, we're only going to go a house and a half. See where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, dude. 100%.
I could tell you right now, from 11th Avenue from Jefferson to Cleveland, all the way up to Hudson, I start at 2 to 2.5 houses past. 2 to 2.5 houses past the structure is where my tailboard stops. And then I just adjust that on the fly. If it's a little smaller house, I may go a little farther, right? If it's a bigger house, I stop a little bit shorter.
We're back. We're climbing. The numbers are climbing. Guys, I do apologize. Trying to make that work. For whatever reason, my streaming software and Facebook and the internet do not like me trying to show slides. So I'll work on it, but not tonight. So back to where we left off. If anybody can say where we lost it, because he was talking about the excess. I believe there was a 145-foot layout, and then what do you do with the excess?
Is that where we're going to go from there?
I'm checking to make sure if anybody can verify. Right. They're a little behind us as far as like a 10-second delay in the live version.
I got you.
Yeah, Tony Nunes says we should hand draw the slides. So, hey, Steve, I appreciate you putting up with my – yeah. Okay, he said that's exactly where we left off. Billy Rhodes clued us in. So right there with the excess, what do you do?
Yeah, so that's the whole concept of this is if we pull past like we're supposed to, you only need 145 feet of hose for that entire structure. With that being said, what do you do with the other 55 feet? That's where the stretch estimation sets up the positioning of the first apparatus. Did they hear about the cul-de-sacs and all that? Or not the cul-de-sacs,
you were saying
subdivisions?
Yes.
They got all that?
Yes.
Okay, so with that being said, if we know this going in ahead of time, I'm not asking you to do math as we're pulling in. Remember, we're doing this ahead of time on all these stinking EMS runs we got to take.
Love it.
Go ahead and estimate the stretch. That's where you make your stretch estimation. And everybody goes, well, what if you're short? There's fluff built in. I talked about the 25 feet of fluff right there on a second story, on a 2-story dwelling. You're building that in. We never even talked about the reach of the stream. What about the reach of your stream? Your stream reaches a long way, right? So there's fluff built into the formula that if you're off a little bit one way or the other, you're going to be fine. But that's where after you figure out where you should be for your house, then you go stretch at 2 or 3 different houses and make sure that your marks are where you think they are.
Nice.
And then you're going to see really quick that, yeah, we got plenty of hose. Absolutely, we got enough hose. That's where we should be. Maybe we should be a little farther. Maybe we should be a little shorter. But figure it out by the neighborhood. All these houses were built at the same time, and even in the urban environment. When I look down my streets, I have 10-foot setbacks. There might be 2 or 3, 4 styles of homes, but they're all relatively close, right? So that's how, if you start building that, then your drivers just start doing it naturally. And as soon as you think you're far enough, you're probably not. You need to go a little bit farther because it just you feel like you're driving away from the world when you're actually doing what you should be doing, and it just doesn't feel right.
Right. And that's that repetition that drives it home.
Yes.
Love it, man. Okay. Everybody pretty much is back. Yes, we're looking good. Guys, again, 100% thank you, Steve, for putting up with me on that. Audience, thank you for coming back. I don't know. We'll keep trying to make the scrap better with the slides and stuff, but it may be a little bit down the road. Line selection, Steve. Right?
Yep.
That's where we're going.
Okay, so line selection. What I do is not in a book. 99% of this stuff from the mistakes I've made over my career, right? I make plenty of mistakes on fires, and any of my guys are watching, they'll tell you I make mistakes all the time, and I'm the first guy to go, hey guys, I screwed this one up, and here's why.
Love
right?
that.
But if we're not humble enough to do that, then how are we ever going to learn? Okay, we've got to be humble to ourselves, the job, and the people we work with, to be able to go, yeah, I screwed that one up, fellas. This is why we can't do that anymore. Train on it, move on. But line selection, my basic rule of thumb is up to 3 rooms, 1 inch and 3/4. I throw 7/8, 160 gallons a minute, and back it up. That's very simple. Up to 3 rooms. So let's look at that when I take that in context. Let's look at this 2-story dwelling. How many bedrooms are upstairs most of the time? 2 to 3, right?
2 to 3, right.
So if I have a whole floor off, that might be a little too much. If I have 2 or 3 rooms off, that's 1 inch and 3/4 fine. You're not going to have any issues at all. Then when you get to the fact that if I get that whole floor off, that's where I like a 2-inch line. I like a 2-inch line with 1 inch and 1/16 tip. Greater than that, if I have more than one floor off, like I have the whole first floor's off and part of the second, then I'm thinking a ram. I'm thinking something big to hit it in the mouth. Then we can, because I really like the rams over the deck guns. The Elkhart ram is just outstanding. You got 500 gallons a minute. You hit it right in the mouth.
Is it just
what I like?
Is it just the placement of the ram that makes you like it better, or?
Well, it's I can do 2 things tactically at one time with that, right? And I'm not giving up positioning. When you look at deck guns, a lot of times you're screwing positioning up right from the start. You have to park in front of the building, right? So you're screwing the truck up from the start. And if it's a first floor job, your angle of your deck gun is not going to be perfect. It's going to be down. So second floor jobs, you got a little better angle, but first floor, it's not a good angle for your deck gun. So you're screwing up positioning, number one. Number two, I've lost a body up top where I carry that ram at 100 foot pre-connected. I could say, Corley, grab the ram, go not hit it in the mouth. You go stretch 1 inch and 3/4 to the front door. 15, 20 seconds of water. What are we doing? We're shutting that ram down, and where are we going? We're going to go do our job.
Right.
So I like that better because I'm not giving up positioning. I still have a good position past the fire. I can do 2 things tactically at one time, and it's maneuverable. If I need to move it over here for an exposure after we hit it in the mouth, I can do that. It's not stationary. When we park that apparatus and use that deck gun, it's not moving. You're not moving it. It's staying there. But a lot of times I hear people say, well, you can't go with the big water. We'll run out of water. And I go, well, what the hell are you going to do? Take it home with you? Right? What's the purpose of having the tank if you're not going to use it?
Yeah.
You know, so to me, that's fine. You can pull your 1 inch and 3/4 on that fire, and you're never going to run out of water. But the result is you're going to burn the damn thing down. But you're going to pat each other on the back and say, well, we didn't run out of water, and everybody's safe. Nice job. No, not nice job. You know, when you have that well-developed fire, you got to hit it in the mouth and buy yourself some time. If you don't stop the progress, more gallons per minute, the BTUs being produced, that's it. There's no other magic pill for that. That is it. You have to hit it in the mouth. And when you do that, you're going to buy yourself some time. And if you put it in the right place, it doesn't take as much water as you think.
Right on. And is there a breakover point for you as far as if you know your second due is so far away that you start worrying about that tank water more or less, or? To say you worry, it's always in my mind, right? You got to have that. We're running 750 tanks, so for me, I feel like if I'm not making a good difference in 30 seconds with a ram, we're probably in trouble anyway. Right on.
We're probably in trouble anyway if we're not making a pretty good lick on this thing. Either I put it in the wrong place, or I got the wrong guy using it.
And if you put 750,
30 seconds.
If you put 750 in the proper place, you're making a difference.
So, but that's what I'm saying, though. You're looking at 500 gallons a minute out of that thing, right?
Yeah.
503 to be exact. So if any of my Elkhart buddies are watching, that'll make them happy. But if you're looking at a 30-second hit, how much water is that?
Yeah,
it's 250 gallons of water, right? So at 250 gallons of water, it still leaves me 500 gallons in the tank, and I'm flowing 160 gallons a minute.
No,
think about it.
No,
see where I'm breaking this down. So it isn't nearly as drastic as you think it is.
And that's with 30 seconds of continuous flow.
That's continuous flow. So then take that even a step farther, 500 gallons a minute at 160 gallon minute, 3.5 minutes, right? When's the last time you flowed 3.5 minutes straight without shutting the line off?
That was very defensive operation if that was actually going on.
Exactly. So the point I'm making is a 30-second hit can buy you a bunch of time.
I love it.
If it's put in the right place. But you got to be conscious of that tank, right? You got to be. But I would say most people that are concerned about water probably run 1,000-gallon tanks anyway. So you still got 750 gallons of water there if you're doing it the right way.
Right.
So
I love it.
That's my thing with line selection is, look, you know, I'm a 2-inch fan. I like 2-inch hose. I think it's maneuverable. I think it's a lot more maneuverable than 2.5. And Brush and I fight about this all the time and argue about it. Brumley and all those guys. And I respect their opinions. But you know what? I guarantee you I'm going to move a hell of a lot deeper with that 2-inch line into a structure than you are with a 2.5. And I'm going to do it more efficiently. Because just, if nothing else, simple water weight. Simple water weight alone allows me to do that. Right. You know, you're looking at 150 feet of 2.5, you're looking at about 325 pounds of water weight alone. That's a lot of weight.
Oh, that's a shit ton of weight.
So now let's look at 2-inch. It's about 199 pounds. You're looking at 126 pounds difference just in water weight. That's a boatload. Everybody bitches. We don't have enough guys to do it. Hold on. 2 people can move that line, right? Do that with 2.5, you can, but it's not a lot of fun. No, it's not a lot of fun. So, you know, and you're looking at 265 gallons a minute versus 240. Really? 89 pounds nozzle reaction versus 98. I'm losing nozzle reaction and only losing 25 gallons a minute.
Yeah.
I'll probably leave my line open longer and flow more water than you will because they overpressurize the hell out of a 2.5. How many times you seen this, Corley? You see a 2.5 as a defensive line. They got it. They open it all the way up. It's kicking the shit out of them. So what do? They half throttle it.
Half belly.
They half throttle it. So now I'm getting 1 3/4 water, dragging around fucking 2.5 water weight.
Yeah.
Tell me how that makes any sense. You know, if you try to pump, you know, when I got on the job, they told us you cook at 350, you pump at 150. That's all you got to know, kid. Right? That's it. Pump at 150, cook at 350. You know, that's all you got to know. Well, that's not the case. We know better than that. But when guys try to pump 2.5, like 1 3/4, okay, I'm going to throw all the water nerds out there, and all the number nerds are going to get really pissed, but they'll be okay. I promise. If you remember 10, 20, 30, it's ballpark. 10, 20, 30. You're going to lose roughly 10 pounds on modern 2.5-inch hose, friction loss. Don't worry about a coefficient. Don't worry about none of the other crap. If you get 10 pounds per 100, you're going to be very close. You're going to get it in the ballpark.
Okay.
20 pounds for 2-inch, you're going to be in the ballpark. 30 pounds for 1 3/4, you're going to be in the ballpark. Okay. Now,
did you make Dennis Laguerre's head explode there?
Absolutely. I did we were together at Firehouse last week, and I mentioned that he started quivering. I thought he was going to have a seizure.
Right on. Okay.
You know, we hugged it out. It was all right.
All right.
But all I'm saying is, look, not everybody is going to nerd out on this stuff, and you got to make it relative to get it close. Not everybody is going to nerd out on coefficients. So why are we trying to do that? Let's make it so it's at least applicable and workable for these folks. They don't want to do a bad job, but they don't need to know the coefficients. Would you like them to know the coefficients? Whatever. Yes, I want everybody to be in the job, but not everybody's going to love the job as much as you do, and that's okay. But as bosses and as instructors, we have to find ways to make it work for them as well, right?
Oh,
we can nerd out. We can nerd out all we want over here with the folks that want to, but what's the way I can connect to those guys that don't want to nerd out but still want to do a good job? Yeah, so the 10, 20, 30. So the last thing with that is when we look at the nozzle reaction, if they're pumping that, right, say they're sending 150 to that 2.5.
Okay.
150 pounds. It's going to be about 130 when it gets there to the nozzle, right? Your nozzle reaction is 255 pounds.
Yeah.
And you wonder why you see people half throttling 2.5, right?
There, you got no option.
You got no option. So every firehouse has got the label maker guy. You know, the guy I'm talking about, the guy that makes a label maker for the label maker that says label maker, one for the table that says table.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's got that guy.
The spice rack.
Go out. Exactly. Spice rack, right? Exactly. So everybody's got an accountability board. So what I like is go out and flow those lines ahead of time with everybody. Know your discharge pressures and what there actually should be on your pre-connects, if nothing else. It'll take you an hour to do it. On the back of your board, 1 3/4 pre-connect, 200 feet, 7/8, 160. PDP is this,
right?
105, whatever it is.
Right.
How many? There's a ton of paramedics out there. You know how much stuff they got in their head now with all these drugs and everything else we do?
Oh, yeah.
Numbers are hard, right? They're not using these numbers every day on fires. So why not do the work ahead of time? Throw a little cheat sheet on the back of that thing. They end up wheeling the truck. They're not going to help them out. It's okay. 100%. It's okay. Just have that back there. Boom. You know, now they got their pump discharge pressures going to be close, and we're not going to end up in that same situation.
Dude, it's solid. It's solid. I did want to ask you, and I mentioned this earlier, because you're a fan of the 2-inch. I wanted to ask, and what do you think of the 2 1/4?
I like 2 1/4. I think it's got a good place. I think especially your low-staffed suburban departments that have high rises. I think that's a huge, either 2 1/4 or 2-inch, either one. I think it's top notch with 2.5-inch couplings. You can get 1 1/8 on it. You can get 265 out of it without a problem with 1 1/8. It meets the Freeman ratio on the spot. I think it's a good line. I think it's a very, very, very viable option for the replacement of 2.5 and high rises.
Gotcha.
Either one of those, I think, is a huge option. Now, I prefer the 2-inch over the 2.5 for a lot of or even the 2 1/4 for a lot of the reasons I said. Now, I'm splitting this, the maneuverability, water weight. Yeah,
okay.
And it's not. Again, I'm splitting hairs.
Sure.
Now, do I think the 2 1/4 should replace the 2.5? No, I don't. I think the 2.5 still has a place, and it's a defensive line to me. But should engine companies out there have some type of mid-range option, meaning it's too much for 1 inch and 3/4, but I really don't need to ram it. What's my option?
Right.
Have something in the middle that's a doable thing, that's maneuverable thing that you can pull, get big water, but still maneuver.
Right on.
Right. Big water. You need a mid-range option with the fires we have now. Look, we all know the UL studies and everything's told us they're not the same fires I started with, right? We know that. So let's be a little more proactive and be able to get that mid-range of water to where it's still maneuverable and we can still do what we need to do on the inside of the structure.
Trying to get,
but yeah, I think 2 1/4 is good stuff. I really do. I don't have any issue with it at all.
I'm trying to catch up with the comment. I've because of the technical issues, I've been ignoring the comments here. I wanted to ask you because you said 1 1/16.
Yep.
Is that over the 1-inch tip? I mean, what's your thought there?
It's just an 1 1/16. I like the 1 1/16. It's 240 at 50. Okay. We get a little less nozzle reaction, but we're still getting a large volume of water. Could I overpump that by 10 and damn near be 265? Absolutely. You absolutely could. The thing about that I like is maybe I have a little less fire. I can underpump that a little bit and still be at 200 gallons a minute and still have a really nice hose line. Does that make sense? It gives me a little more wider range than when we get to the larger diameter hose, that narrows down very dramatically, very quickly. You as soon as you start getting smaller, it narrows it down pretty quick. So I like the 1 1/16. It seems like a laser beam to me at 50 PSI at the tip, and it's a boatload of water. It is a boatload of water.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna try and catch up here. There we go. We were discussing this here at Spring. Yes, exactly. Yes, I'm catching up, guys. I promise. I'm not ignoring anybody. Shannon Stone said, Steve. I think I said that right.
Buddy.
One of the best engine guys in the business. Kevin McCart said, I can tell he needs some peg leg Pete's. So there you go.
Oysters.
I'm not sure. I missed a bunch, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to catch up. So here we go. We love the 2-inch with the 1-inch tip. There we go, 2-inch with 1-inch tip. Okay, it's a lot of the same questions we
Okay,
answered.
so let me address that.
Yes.
So here's something. So they're using a 1-inch tip. That's great, right? So if they're going 1 3/4 in a 15/16 to 185, right? You have a 1-inch tip on a 2-inch line. That's only 210.
So no difference.
There's not
Negligible.
it's negligible difference. So why not take that a little deeper with the 1/16 and get you 240? Because now when I go beyond that, I'm at 500 with the rammer. I could even run that, 1 1/4, 325 off my 2.5. Make that range a little bit bigger, in my opinion, because there's not a lot of difference there between 185 and 210, is there?
Right.
But there's difference in water weight. So what am I really gaining? Maximize what you can do with what you got. Meaning, if I've got that 2-inch, try an 1/16 tip and just see the difference. Meaning, is it really going to get me the difference between the 185 and 210?
Right.
Right. It's no different than I say that if I can't put it out with 240, I'm not going to put it out with 265. Yeah. And I believe that. So if you're running a 1-inch tip, I'm not saying that's bad. That may work great for you, but just reevaluate and try to get a little maximum. If you're dragging the water weight, get the water out of it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Why pay for the water weight if you're not going to get the GPM?
If we're not going to maximize the GPM, now you can run it hot. You can run the 1-inch hot and get up to 220 or so. Yeah, you can, but you're going to feel that. You're definitely going to feel that when you get up there, right? So just think of it that way. If we're going to drag the water weight, let's go ahead and make sure we try to maximize what we can get out of it.
No, I love it, man. Dude, it's just knowledge, man. It's knowledge. And it's a conversation. And this is what people don't understand is I think they do understand. I shouldn't say that. Is I get to sit here and have this one-on-one conversation with you that everybody gets to enjoy, but I get to absorb all this knowledge. It's just so freaking fun, man.
It's more absorbing my mistakes than knowledge.
Hey, and that's 100% exactly. Yes, that's a great way to say it. But I will gladly learn from them rather than make them myself. And believe me, I'm the master at making my own. So, and I hopefully will pass them on. Joey Hay says this is pure gold. And this is why Steve is one of the best in the business, breaking down the nozzles, hoses, and flow. And that came from Kevin Trapchak. Okay, back to questions. Throwing another question at you.
Yep.
Because I asked you your thoughts on the 2.25, which means I'm going to break from hose and line selection and stretching. And I'm going to get into one of my favorite things, which is leadership, motivation, etc., and go to company officer expectations. Now, we had a good conversation about this in Pensacola, and I wanted to hear your thoughts and get thoughts and throw questions at you. So go for it.
It's funny because you just mentioned my buddy Shannon Stone. You know, we've been friends a long time, and him and I talk a lot about this. And it's amazing. The first time Shannon and I met, we just kind of were hanging out with Claudia, having a couple cocktails, slid off in the corner, and we started talking about this. And we had the exact same beliefs and almost said the same things. And we've been very good friends ever since, and I think we kind of drawn to each other on this stuff. But first things first, expectations. So everybody has that buzzword, right? Everybody has the buzzword expectations. Write your expectations down. Do this, do this, do this. How many people, though, as company officers, you hand them an expectation sheet? How many people are taking the time, though, to actually do every one of those expectations with their new guy or with their entire crew? If you don't do that, all you're doing is setting them up for failure, because the boss says, oh, hell, Corley, I gave you the expectations. You know what to do. Well, if you never did it with them, how the hell are you supposed to tell? You don't know they can do it. You don't know they can do it the way you want it. So one thing we do at 18, and I think a couple of my guys are watching this, I have a 9-week mentoring program where we go through 9 weeks of different tasks. And we do it together. Now, some of the stuff may be done with just their mentor. Some of the stuff may be as a crew, right? When we go stretch as a crew. Why? I want them to see how I want it done. That's number one. But then I want to see that they can do it. All right? Now, they can do it. They can function at a higher level. You know, Shannon and I both use this. Here's the division expectations. I hold mine up here. You know why? Because we screw up every fire, and then we still fall where?
Right where
still
you
well
I love
above,
it.
still well above the division expectations. But
Strong.
if I don't go out with those guys and stretch, what am I doing when I do that? Am I welcoming that young man or that young lady into my crew now? Absolutely, I am. Is my crew starting to gain trust in this individual by watching
Oh
them
yeah.
perform the task? And they're gaining trust in the crew that what? We're all in this together. We can all do this together. You come to my crew, the first thing I do, hey, Corley, welcome to 18. Congratulations. Hey, do me a favor, get all your gear on. HB said helmet, gloves in under 25 seconds because you're not leaving the bay for until you can do it because you're useless to me until you can do that. There's no reason for me to go any farther until you can do that.
I love
That's
that.
how we start. But that's how we start. What good does it do to go stretch if they can't get dressed? I'm leaving their ass on the front porch. It doesn't do any good. So be okay with starting here, right? Everybody wants to go out and we got to stretch and we got to do vertical and we got to do this and yes, we have to do all those things, but build it. We can't, everything builds on each other in this program because it doesn't do any good to go straight to vertical stretching and try to teach them how to well hole stretch when they can't even get dressed. You're putting the cart before the horse and you're not doing anything good. The other thing with this, everybody gets something, right? So maybe I got a younger guy that's just started to drive for me. We throw a couple bundles in there. Guess what we do? We're stretching on the way to the store. Guess what he's doing? He's positioning the apparatus, getting used to estimating that stretch and positioning that apparatus. Yeah, the young kid may be stretching the line, but my guy's getting experience doing what? So everybody gets a piece of it. Everybody gets a piece of the pie, right? Everybody gets that little nugget of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it really brings guys together. I trust you more. You trust me more. You see, I'm not full of shit. And the stuff really works, right?
No, it's beautiful, man. And then confidence in each other.
Yes.
It's not just building
that crew continuity.
It's not just building competence, individual or team. It is, but it's not just that. It's the confidence and it's the trust up and down. Dude, I love it. Dude, this is gold.
So let's take that even a step farther, though.
Okay.
So now you get that road guy that wants to do what they want to do, right? So I first question I asked them after the fire, I look right at them and I go, hey man, what did you see I didn't? I can't see it all right. I saw the same thing. I said, well, on these fires, what I expect. That isn't it. Why did you do that? Well, I just thought we should. Well, are you aware of my expectations, yes or no? I know you are, right? Are you able to perform them to my standards? Guess what? We've done it together. So what? I know you are.
I know you are.
So now you're telling me you're unwilling? I can fix that too. I can fix that too because I'm your damn boss. I'm not your buddy. I'm your boss. This isn't Walmart. We're not going to hug it out. I'm your boss and you're going to be held accountable if you don't do what you're expected to do. Mediocrity is not okay anymore, fellas. I am sick and tired of mediocrity. The worst thing you could ever hear on the tailboard is, well, the fire went out and nobody got hurt. No, that's not okay. That's my family. That's my house. No. If it's not okay for your family, why the hell is it okay for the citizens you work for? It's not right. And until bosses start being bosses again and quit worrying about going out and having a beer with them tomorrow night, and guess what? If you get your feelings hurt, I'm sorry, go be a banker. I'm not saying you got to go out and be a dick. I'm not saying that. But what about all the guys that work their asses off to be better, and you got a boss that won't hold the ones that don't accountable, that won't do the minimum? These guys are going, why should I do more when this guy doesn't do anything and he gets away with it?
Right.
Those guys want those guys held accountable. And guess what? The boss seat is more than a T-shirt, fellas. It's more than a T-shirt. I'm not saying you go out of the way to be a dick, but you need to hold your people accountable. And if you don't do that, you're going to lose control real quick. And guess what? It's not a democracy. This is not a democracy. I don't take everybody's opinion. Do I listen to guys? Yes. Do I try to gather information? Absolutely. But who is ultimately responsible?
Yes.
Me. So guess whose decision it is?
Yes.
Mine. And if it's not popular, sorry. I don't know how to make it any plainer than that. I don't. I don't go out of my way to be mean, but I will go out of my way to hold you accountable if you don't know or do your job. That I'm telling you. And if you get mad at me, okay, you're not getting you're not the first one, and you won't be the last.
Won't be the last.
That's just how I feel about it.
Dude, I'm loving it. Go ahead.
We've embraced mediocrity so much that it's running rampant, and now it's accepted. Mediocrity is not okay. We have accepted it in the fire service as a practice, right?
Oh, 100%.
We've accepted it. So how do we change that? How do we change that? Everybody wants to talk about change. You want to go down that road yet, or do you want me to?
Dude, I just I want to tell you, because I don't want to neglect the audience. I have never seen preach with exclamation points, praying hands, and raised hands posted so much as I have seen. Justin Frey says, I just fell in love with this man. Preach from Kevin Trapchak. Point on. Preach. Yes. Good God, Steve Robertson, I freaking love you. And that's the thing. I'm sitting here just smiling, just listening, because I'm in church right now. This is amazing. And yes, facts, love it. Hell yes. Preach. Like I said, I've never seen so much preach. Everyone wants accountability until accountability is held. That came from Shannon Stone. And
that's why I told you, man. We think we are. I'm telling you, we like share a brain on this stuff.
Kindred brothers. I wish
my card.
Yes, I'm trying to look here if I'm missing anything. There it is. No, so sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. Go to change.
You're okay.
If you guys got questions, make sure and send them, because I will throw the questions at Steve, but you have to type them out. I love the hype. Don't get me wrong. But if there's questions, get them in there. Go ahead, Steve. We're going to change.
Well, but there's another word out there that I hate.
Okay.
And it's called culture. We have to change culture. You know how gosh damn tired I am of hearing the word culture? Think about that. It is every other word in every leadership book in the world. Why are we trying to change culture? How many people are successful in changing the culture of an entire fire department? Very few. So why are we even approaching it that way? So let me throw something out here.
I'm listening.
I got this from a retired captain and one of my mentors, JT Lewis. And man, the more I think about it, the more it's just absolutely spot on and where we are in the fire service right now and across America, not just here, but it's across America. And it's the 33% rule. What do I mean by the 33% rule? You ever heard of this, Corley?
I've heard of some different percentage rules, so I'm anxious to see.
Okay, so 33% rule. I'm going to go, again, my ESPN, see if it's working here. But your fire department, you have 33% of your people excel. They are up here. They are just absolute killers. They kill it. They're into the job. They go to conferences. They do everything. They're up here. You have 33% of your fire department that are very good employees. They're good firemen. They know their job. They come to work on time. They do their job. But there might not be the person that goes the extra mile, that goes to conferences. They don't love the job the way that top 33 does.
Right. And then
there's the 33 on the bottom. And we all know who those folks are. They're the T-shirt getters, right?
Sure.
We're here for the T-shirt. I'm here for the paycheck. I'm here for the insurance. Why are we trying to change 66% of the people? Because right now, if you think about it, just in those three categories I gave you there, think about the middle person that's at the top of that list and almost in the top list. You probably got somebody in your mind right now.
Sure.
That's right there, that just a little mentoring may get them up there, right? So you probably got that same person, another person down here in the bottom that's almost to the middle. If they were around the right people, that person would go to the middle of being a good employee and being, right?
Sure.
You've got those folks in your mind. So why are we not working on those two individuals to raise them? Because now it's not 33 and 33, is it?
Right.
And before you know it, when we start changing individuals, instead of trying to change masses, good things are going to happen, because we're going to win person by person. We need to change individuals. We don't need to change culture. We need to change individuals. Work on one person. 1,600-man job. Do you think I can absolutely have any impact trying to get to 33% of the people that don't do this job well? How much impact are you going to have when I focus everything on all 33%?
Right. Just
if I focus on that one person that's almost to the middle.
Right.
And that one person from the middle to get them to the top. See where I'm going?
Oh, I do.
Focus on individuals, not on the masses. You're not going to win. And hell, half the administration doesn't give a shit what you think anyway, so they're not going to listen to you. I control what I control. Engine 18, and I got a great battalion chief in Rick Archer. I worry about Engine 18 and the 3rd Battalion. Beyond that, guess what? Do you really think our administration gives two hoots what Steve Robertson thinks?
Right.
No. I mean, it's just too big of an organization, and I'm not mad at him for it. But everybody gets – I used to get so mad, and one of my mentors, God love him, Ray McCormick, we talk 3 times a week, and he goes, "Why are you yelling at me?" And I said, "These stupid sons of bitches, blah, 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 blah." And Ray goes, "Stop. What do you control? Stay in your box, fix what you fix. And if you take care of your business, good things are going to happen." And he's right. And I'm a much happier person when I realized that's it. You control what you control, but you change individuals. You don't change culture. The culture will change by itself when we start getting those numbers at the top up to 40%, and then we're up to 40% here. We just went from we're at 80% now.
Right.
80% winning, right? That doesn't take long to do when you start changing individuals. That's one of those things that I really believe in. And I think it's just flooding out there with all the leadership stuff of expectations and culture. And it's like, stop. It just drives me crazy.
I love it. And Matt Wallace just chimed in and said he kind of summates this with, "So glad this is recorded. I'm going to have to listen to this 100 times. This is 100 knowledge." Right there, man. That kind of, summarizes the Joey Hayes says, "Steve's 33% rule is the best description I've ever heard." Ben Hopner said, "One at a time, in agreement." There it is.
That's how you win, though. That's how you win. You go to if let's say you've been in as a company officer, or maybe the company's not the sharpest, right? Maybe it's kind of that slug company we all have. Right. We all have them, right?
No, absolutely.
Where do you start? Do you just try to run everybody out? How do you start? No, you start with one person. And I'm telling you, I don't run people out of the firehouse. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's right. But I will tell you this, we will put a lot of hose on the ground, and one of two things will happen. Either they're going to get better to meet my expectations, or they're too damn lazy and they're going to leave. It's one of the two. I don't care either way. Doesn't bother me either way. But to me, you're either going to get better or you'll choose to go work somewhere else. That's up to you. But trying to run people, how do you get rid of people? I don't like that. I don't think you need to do that. Why don't we just work on the individual, make them better, and then they can make a decision whether they want to put the time in to get better or they want to move on.
Love it. And now they said, Marshall Boyd said, "Change behavior. Behavior drives culture." And John Naninga said, "Get the right one. Masses will follow."
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean,
someone had a question for you, which was, well, maybe they did. Did I lose it? They asked about. Nope, I lost it. Did it delete? Someone asked about when you get a bad guy assigned to your station, how you fixed it. Mm-hmm. They would seem to be referencing something specific, but now I can't find the question. If you oh, here it is. Please have Steve talk about splitting the door. So someone wants to talk about splitting the door, but there was another one I thought. It looks like it got deleted. Someone did ask about splitting the door, but I can't play the video, so I don't know if you want to touch splitting the door, try to describe it, or.
Yeah, we can, and then
it's up to you.
Possible we can do it, and then possible at the end, maybe at the end of the podcast, maybe you can attach it.
Sure, I can definitely link it so people can find it. Yeah, I just don't want to play it live and then have to restart the whole stream again.
No, I got you. No, we're not.
I don't want to go down that roll again.
We've lived that life. So no, splitting the door, and that goes back after line selection and estimating the stretch, positioning the apparatus, all those things. It's a concept I came up with several years ago, and basically it's the idea is read the swing of the door in relationship to the location of the fire. We all talk about that. We don't have enough bodies. We're running with 3. We don't have this. We don't have that. So when we only have a limited number of bodies, we cannot waste a body at the door. So if we stretch in line with the door and we take good angles to the fire, you can pull. My goal is 100-foot working length closest to the fire. That's my goal.
Right.
I want 100-foot working length on the other side of the cars, in line with the door, whatever I got to do. I need that 100-foot working length. So if I'm reading the door, and the animation you'll see once you see it on the link, but if I have a fire on the first floor to the left, I have an inward swinging door to the right. I want to set up middle to the right. So just for terminology's sake, what I use is if I pull the truck past the fire, okay, the fire's on the left side, 50% to 45 degrees. That's the split. So that would be the inside of the door, what's closest to the rig. The outside would be what's farthest from the rig. So if I want to set up on the outside, I have a perfect angle to where I'm going in the structure and I'm not losing a body until we hit the first turn inside.
Right.
I can stand from the inside and continue to pull hose and not have any obstructions. And if you got to cheat the middle. Don't cheat to the outside because your line's going to catch.
Right.
Get the coupling up on the stoop so it doesn't catch. We know that. But if we take good angles to the fire, we never stop moving. My thing is this. You have to be 160 gallon a minute bulldozer. That's the mentality you have to have going in these fires. I don't need to be fast. I just got to keep going forward, right? Are bulldozers fast?
Right on.
No.
Right on.
But what stops them? What stops them from going forward? Not much, right? And when we match the right hose and nozzle package, we split the door, we've set up the positioning, the line set up, we've selected the right line. We're setting up for success. The push is the easy part at that point.
If you
think about it.
Yeah.
If we do all those things right, hell, the push is the easy part. And it's a whole lot more fun when I'm not running in and out of that house 6 times to get hose.
Which we've all done. Yes. No.
But we don't. I'm bragging on my company because, gosh damn it, they work hard. But we don't ask for hose very often because we move at a gentleman's pace to where, guess what? The control person can keep up with that.
It's been stretched,
and we're still,
success.
yeah, and we're moving forward. We're flowing water. We're doing the things we need to do, but we don't need, Aaron Fields does some unbelievable things with nozzle forward. He's really, unbelievable, right?
Right.
But I think some guys out there have taken Aaron's stuff and put their own little spin on it. And now I see these dudes flying, hauling ass across the parking lot as fast as they can, flowing water. That tells me they've never been in a fire. Because if you do that in a fire, you're not giving time for the water to work. You got to give time for the water to work. They're going right past fire. If they're doing that in a fire that fast, they're going past fire. You got to give time for water to work. Use the reach of your stream. Just keep going forward. That's the key. Hell, at the front door, I'll take my tick, I'll throw it right over the nozzleman's shoulder. Give him a 5-second look. Hey, see it down there on the left? Yeah, throw some water. Let's start going that way. They're not getting a perfect layout of the fire, but what are they getting? A direction. Now we got a direction. It's where we're heading. We know, we're listening. We're using our senses. I'm hitting the wall. I'm hitting the wall. Hitting the wall. Now, boom. Now I hear it. It's going in the doorway. Right? It changes. The sound changes. So using all of your senses inside that fire is a big deal as well.
Love it. The yes, I could let you talk about it for hours. Rob Backer asked this question, which he said, when estimating the stretch, and it's a good one, are apartments or other multifamily dwellings, does the calculations altered when you do that as far as your simple formula?
It really doesn't alter, but it's going to take a little more work. So I carry a little landscaping wheel, the little fold-up ones.
Right.
I carry that underneath my officer's seat. So if we got those garden-style apartments, that's we're pre-planned to where we know we may have to run trunk line or multiple trunk lines to get those. So it does it, but it's a little harder to estimate than looking at the front of a house going, that's a 30 by 40.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, you may have 15 of those buildings all the same in the same complex, but you're going to have to figure out trunk lines anyway. So you might want to go ahead and take that wheel and put a little more pre-plan into those, because most of them aren't easily accessible, and it's going to take a little bit different. And that, depending on where the location of the fire is, it may change everything you're doing.
Right.
But you're going to know, get a rough number of where you need to be. But
and you're talking the EMS wheel
buildings
on the EMS call. On the
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Right. So I do high rise, the same thing. you're in a residential high rise. You got an EMS call. Take that wheel in, go to the floor below. What's it take to get to the elevator lock? 2 links, 3 links? Is that good information?
Oh, hell
Does
yeah.
it have PRVs? Does it have PRDs? All of this can be. I'm not asking you to do anything you're already there.
Right.
You're already there, right? Where's the FTC? What's the all those things, you're there. Why not just record some of that information and share with your folks?
Love it.
But that's what I would do on the guard departments. And, remember on these guard departments, like with the exterior entrances where you have platforms or hotel motels that have the exterior door, I kind of have a rule of thumb. The first line to me is usually a bundle, and it's going to be the fire department and the one adjacent. I've got to be able to cover those 3. But your second line damn well better match the roof line, meaning length. I've got to be able to cover the entire thing. The key to those to me is getting water quick, because there's no depth to those, right? Think about a hotel. When you open the door and it swings in, can I hit the entire structure? Can I hit that entire room from where I'm at?
Right.
The key is getting water vertically quick enough to where one person can accomplish that. One person can absolutely accomplish that whole task if we can get it
vertically there.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Because depth is not an issue. The depth is not an issue. The issue is getting water up there in a timely manner vertically. And that's where we go back to either a coupling drop or a hook stretch or any of those things that are covered in the class. But that's where you got to go out and vet it. Going around interior return stairs or exterior return stairs, it's not a good option. You can well hole it. That's a better option, but there's too many turns and bends. And again, if you're running with 3 folks, how many guys are you going to lose? I'm not losing anybody if I go vertical, right?
Right.
I'm not losing anybody. If I take a 100-foot bundle up, pull it off my shoulder, I break it at the truck, they take off and go. They split stretch it this way, force the door, drop the female coupling. Your water's coming. You see what I'm saying?
No, I do.
All this is still happening with 2 people. So get out there and just try different things for each complex, because every one of them is a little bit different. We got a container complex that we've looked at 3 or 4 different ways, and we've decided we're going to do a coupling drop on it because where the stairs are located in relationship to most of the apartments, the stretch would be too long to even well haul it. So we've decided that we're going to take a bundle up, drop the female, and go to work, right? So every one of these, you just got to get out there and practice. I'm not saying you got to go drill for 3 hours a day. We don't go drill 3 hours a day. We do something every day, but we don't drill 3 hours. I don't put a hose on the ground every day. We don't have a fire in a couple of weeks. Hose is going on the ground, though, right? Mm-hmm. You're an engine company, for God's sakes. You better be able to stretch better than good. Good is not good enough stretching. You're an engine company. That's your job. You have to be better than good.
Love it.
And that comes from one of my mentors, Mike Pulaski. God love him. He played football for Ohio State, was on the 68 championship team. He goes, Stevie, good's not good enough in this job. We got to be better than good. And I try to hold my guys to that, because I truly believe that.
I love it. Another question. Are you good for it?
Yeah.
He says, Stephen Negley said, we are going to 400 foot of 1.77 pre-connect. What's your thoughts? It will definitely speed up the longer lays instead of extending a 3-inch. So what do you think?
Steve, first thing, how you doing, buddy? I miss you. I'll see you soon here down in Lauderdale in a couple weeks. Steve runs one of the guys that runs the Orlando Fire Conference. I'm going to give him a short plug, because if you have not been to that conference, OFC is definitely one you need to check out. They cap it at, I think it's 500 people. They don't take 502. They serve 500 or whatever that number is exceptionally well. And they just do a phenomenal job. If you haven't done OFC in February, check it out, because it's definitely worth your money.
Awesome.
But anyway, 400-foot lines. I'm not a big fan of 400-footers. I understand it. I know a lot of guys down in Virginia and those places run the 400-footer. I know that was Brad Clark's one of his big things. If it works for you, great. I'm not that guy. I'm more of a trunk line guy. So with the 100-foot bundles, and if I'm taking a trunk line, I can accomplish the same thing is the pump pressure an issue? No. But trying to get through somebody's head, right, that we're going to have to pump that at what? If I just use the roll of thumb,
10, 20, 30?
60, 60 is what? 120, and then add 50.
It's a 1.7, yeah.
Right? how many of your pump operators are legitimately going to push that button to 170? I hope all of them, but I could see that being an issue, especially with Orlando was in, I believe, 2-inch within 1-inch tip. So your pump pressures are dramatically different between those two. You see what I'm saying? So that retraining of a 400-foot line, yeah, it's going to take some work. Am I opposed to it? No. But 400 foot is not easy to manage. It's a long way. It's a lot of hose. I'm a trunk line guy. Like I said, I'd rather take 1 3/4 and then start taking flakes of 3-inch or 2.5 and just go off that. But that's just me. I'm not saying 400's bad, but you better train with it because it's a lot.
Be good at what you
and
do.
I would strap that last 100 feet. The nozzle 100. I would put straps on that for sure, because that's going to be, if you're going that far and you got a 100-foot shoulder load, that's going to be an issue of keeping that thing tight and not turning it into a mess.
Which is perfect, because Garrett Taves said, "What are your preferred straps for hose bundles?"
To me, there's only one, and that's the Fire by Trade straps, Brian Brush. The reason I like those, Brian's my friend, yes, and I've used them all the time. I use them on my rig, but the reason I like the Fire by Trade straps is there's no buckles. They are straight Velcro. It's USA Velcro. They're made in the USA. It's quality Velcro. It's not made over in China or anywhere. And if the more buckles and things you add to straps for hose lines, the harder it's going to be for you to accomplish that with gloves on. So if I have all these straps and I got the buckles, I get them really tight, they look great. But then when I pop that strap, now I got to get down there with my gloved hands and try to screw with that. I like it. There's no buckles. There's none of that. It's straightforward, and they're reasonable. I don't know the price, but they're not. It's Fire by Trade with Brian Brush. I think they're the best straps out there. And that, like I said, that's the ones I use.
Good answer. Best answer. What about?
Was the only answer.
What about? Well, we just went to Fire by Trade straps for our modified Minuteman that we're running. Brush is in my backyard. He's.
I'm sorry.
10 miles away. Midwest.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I love him. So,
man, I tell you what, if you missed his keynote,
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the recording yet.
I'm telling you right now.
I'm telling you, yesterday I was on YouTube typing in Firehouse trying to find it. So
it is absolutely a home run. It's one of the best keynotes I've heard in a long time, and I hate to say that because I don't know if he's listening or not. His head's going to get big, but I'm not kidding you, Brian. You could really tell. Put the time in. He gathered the information. I even wrote down one of his quotes. I want to even tell you this. It was about problem solving. He goes, "Must have all the information to understand the situation." That was a Brush quote from that keynote, and it really stuck with me. Like, you got to have all the information if we're truly going to understand the situation. And gathering information is the biggest thing we can do as a company officer. You got to have all the information before you start making decisions and dropping a hammer on guys. Hey, what did you see I didn't?
Right.
If you sip, oh man, I thought I saw this. Oh hell, I didn't see that. Good call, right? You can't just and that, trust me, this has taken me a long time to learn and change my demeanor, because I was the young boss that was a snapperhead, right? I'd snap on you in a second. But as you get older and you gain experience, you realize that you're not seeing it all. Right, you're not seeing it all, and you need to gather that information before you start dropping the hammer. So,
dude, I love it. And if we're comparing Brian Brush quotes, "Water on the Fire," he said this out there at that pool bar. He said that I wrote it down in my little notebook that day because I loved it so much. He said, "When you realize the fire service exists beyond the walls of your department, you realize the fire service has no walls." Dude, it was one of the greatest things I ever heard.
Brian, I'm blessed to call him friend. And, we got to spend some time at Firehouse, me, him, and Chief Ike. After his keynote, we're able to take off and head out for the afternoon together, just us three. And we don't get that opportunity to spend that kind of time together alone. And we really embraced it and enjoyed it. I tell you, we solved a lot of the fire service problems that afternoon. But I love the guy. And if you haven't caught any of Brian's stuff, please, you're not doing yourself any favors by not doing it. So
I had to check and make sure he wasn't watching before we talked about him, because I didn't want there's only so many flat bills that can fit on that giant head anyway. So anyway, okay.
That's good.
Solid stuff. Steven, Negley said it will be a 100-foot bundle with 300-foot flat and pumped at 170. That's their plan. He says he personally doesn't think it will be pulled that often. So
no, but and again, Stephen, we can talk about it in Lauderdale here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I think that's a solid. As long as you're going that route and your drivers and engineers are pumping it correctly, I don't have a problem with it. It's just a lot of 1 3/4. It's a lot. So, and if you got it strapped, that's even better. I think you're going to have a better result if it is.
Kyle O'Brien asked, thoughts on gated Y operations versus 3-inch with bell reducers?
So, if you're going to use a gated Y, the one thing I would tell you, I'd probably cap the other side. I'm not opposed to the appliance. And I think what Dennis and Daryl and those guys, when they really dug deep into that, what the end game of this is, don't try to run 2 lines off the same trunk line. Your pump pressures are going to be different. They're going to be all over the place, and there's no place. One's going to send water to the other one. So understand that. I'm not opposed to a gated Y. I run a water thief, but we only run 1 line off the trunk. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We'll run a second trunk line for the second line. I'm not opposed to the appliance because you can send water, you can do whatever. A bell reducer's fine. But if my guy can get that down while we're stretching and they want to send water because I got an appliance there, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's your personal preference or your department's preference. The only thing I think, I review the brass tacks hard facts video on gated Y operations. I think that sums it up, and Dennis and Daryl really do a great job with that in that video of explaining why not to use the Y. And when they say not to use the Y, why not to use both ends?
Right.
You know what I mean? 2 off of 1. Man, we used to do that all the time. Hell, we didn't know any different. But, we learn every day. So.
Perfect. Okay. Is there any more? Steven said, thanks for the OFC plug. Love you, brother. So that's from Stephen Negley. So there you go. Company officer expectations. Okay. It's okay to be the boss. Act accordingly. You've kind of touched on it, but go for it.
Yeah. No, that's, I think I kind of got on a roll there and covered what I wanted to cover. But
okay.
Challenge your folks. I'm going to talk about the speed of the game here for a second.
Go.
So, I use an analogy called the speed of the game. And as soon as my young guy comes out of their first fire, man, they're awesome. Woo-woo, kicked ass, high five, all that. It's great. I look right at them and I go, what color was the house? And they go, what? What color was the house? Fire. Right?
Right.
What color was it? What fire? Fire. What color was it? Fire. Smoke. Fire. Challenge your guys because the speed of the game. So let's use the analogy that I use from college football. So college football, the Heisman Trophy winners, the best player in America, right? Best college football player in America. How many of those guys go to the NFL the first year and succeed that you hear their name? Like they just excel. Not many.
Very few.
Second year, third year, fourth. Now all of a sudden Jalen Hurts is in his 3rd or 4th year. What happens? Man, he just exploded. The media all ask the same question. What changed? What changed? What changed for you? And every one of them say the exact same thing. The game slowed down for me. I'm seeing the field better. The fire service is no different. As you gain experience, the game's going to slow down. You're going to start seeing more things. But the reason I ask my young guys these questions, I want to start challenging them. I want them to know there's going to be a question coming at them about that structure. Where was there a side door in this house?
Right.
Were there basement windows? Right. You see what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
I want them to anticipate what the next question is going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
so
man. I love it.
You have to continually challenge your folks, right? And it's okay if they don't have the answer because they're starting to look, though. They're starting to slow down. What is it that Gordon Graham said? More heroin, less meth. Bring it down, right? Bring it down. But challenge them daily. If you're not challenging your crew, they're going to get stagnant. I'm telling you, they're going to get stagnant. And it's no different than the guy. Everybody's had the boss that runs the same drill every time.
Right.
Yeah, everybody had that boss.
Yeah.
The only drill he does is the one drill.
The one drill he's really good at.
And that's why, because he knows everything about it. He's going to answer every question. This pisses me off more than anything. and I'm going to go down this road, and it's problem solving. And when's the last fire, Corley, you left that it was still on fire? Have you ever left a fire that's still on fire? No, right? Never done it. How about an EMS run where you either didn't fix the problem, take them to the hospital, and pronounce them dead?
None.
You fix the problem. So I bet you can think back to your last 3 fires and you saw one mistake that was made that was a common mistake on all 3 of those fires. One thing that continues to pop up on almost every fire you go to. Who's taking the time to solve that problem?
That one.
Nobody is, right? Because here's why. I don't want to fail in front of you. It shows weakness as a boss if I fail in front of you. If we don't have a solution to this, we just ignore it like it doesn't happen.
Gloss right over it.
Well, why not fail as a crew? The whole time we went through that mentoring program, what did we do? We succeeded as a crew the entire time. So why does it make you a bad boss to fail with your crew and learn and try to be solution-oriented to common problems? How do you think we came up with splitting cars to get a working length on the other side of cars? We practiced and practiced and practiced, and we failed a lot. We failed a lot until we came up with a vetted, teachable solution. There's a vetted, teachable solution now to getting a 100-foot working length on the other side of parked cars. But that didn't happen by instant success, right? It's okay to fail with your crew. We do reps to show success, and we build on each other from that. But it's okay to go out there and go, okay, fellas, here's the problem. Let's start throwing shit against the wall and see what happens. That didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. What's wrong with that? But we're not doing it. We're not doing it as a fire service. We continue to do the same shit the wrong way and then tell everybody the fire went out. Nice job.
Is it strictly,
nobody got hurt?
Strictly egos? Is that the?
I think it's egos, and I think guys are scared to show weakness.
Sure.
Guys are shit. I mean, if you're a company officer, you're showing weakness. You know, that guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Right.
Well, do I not know what the hell you apparently don't either, because you don't have a solution. Right? So be okay with that. It's like we are scared to fail in front of each other. And I think that's a big problem with company officers. You built this mentoring program. You've gone through everything, working with each other, building off each other. So why not throw it out there as a group and fail with each other? You're not failing. We're trying to be solution oriented to a common problem. So you got to be able to do that too. I think that's an important point to me.
Dude, it's strong. It's very strong. Catch you up. Jason Halverman, Chief Halverman said, the speed of the game, the same thing happens for new ICs. Great point and parallels. And it goes all the way up. I mean, 100% the speed of the game slows down. Someone asked. But
you know what? There's some people, Corley, the game never slows down for them. The game never slows down. And other people pick it up quicker. It knowledge without experience is theory.
I love that. I love that.
I can have all the experience knowledge I want until it's vetted through experience. It's theory. Everything I'm giving you is theory based until you prove it as working. Right.
Right on.
It's till you do it and you know it works. It's theory. So don't think. Now, is it important to have a lot of theory and have
right? That's what I was gonna. My next point was, but that still matters. But you
got to have it up there, but it's not really experience until you vet it and you do it and it works for you.
Tyler, and I'm going to mispronounce this. I'm sorry, Tyler. Tyler Nisley. He said, LT, can you talk about the fire that separated you from your firefighter because a bathtub fell through the floor?
Oh, that was, that we went on a single engine response. There was a fatal fire in the north end of the district, and went on a single engine response on smoke in the area. So we're just cruising around and you could smell it. We knew we had a fire, but we didn't. I thought it kind of thought it was going to be a garage, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to be a dwelling. So we're coming up, getting ready to hit up. We're on Dresden, getting ready to hit Arlington, and there's an alley there, and I see a little bit of a glow, and I go, "Hey, Billy, shoot the alley. I think we got a garage fire." Well, there's a 2-story garage there, and then there's the house. So as we're coming this way, I'm just seeing the 2-story garage, and I'm thinking the garage beside it's on fire because I can't see past this. As I pull up here, I got the whole, damn near the whole first floor is off on this dwelling.
Yeah.
So the rest of the battalion is actually on a fatal fire up north. So our closest people are a ways away. And we went on smoke in the area. So it's, John Wayne time and working fire, blah, 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 blah. And we stretched, everything's good. We're making a push. My new kid did a phenomenal job on the nozzle. Jake Warner, he just absolutely killed it.
Nice.
Pushing. Zach Simpkins, my other guy, control guy, he was doing a great job feeding us hose. We're moving forward. We had knocked the first 2 big rooms down. I said, Jake, hang over here to the left a minute. Let me go to the right, make sure it's not underneath us. Because there was a fence. I didn't get a good 360. I got a decent look, but I didn't get a good look, and I'm in the alley, so that didn't help. Positioning-wise, I was not where I really wanted to be, but that's at that point, it is what it is. You know, you got to deal with it. But we're making a push. I go to the right, and I start to look, and all of a sudden I hear this godforsaken rumble. Floor pancaked in, hit me, put me against the wall, kind of just knocked me goofy a minute. I wasn't hurt, but it was more like I lost my bearings for a second, and I hollered for him. He's like, yeah, I'm good. New kid, hell, he didn't know any different. So I'm kind of pinned against, not pinned, but this thing's cantilevered down and got me against the wall where I was able to find the window. And as soon as I found the window, I'm good. Spun around, I come back, and I can't get to him. And I'm trying to figure out why the hell I can't get to him over here. It was a cast iron bathtub. Came right through that fell right between us.
Wow.
And it would have mashed. And again, the deputy came up and goes, Steve, what do you think? Would you have done anything different? I go, no, Chief, I can't tell you when a cast iron tub's coming through the floor.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's just one of those things that happens. And put an urgent message out, had a collapse, blah, blah, blah. We had the majority of the fire knocked down when that happened. But again, it's one of those things that sometimes, I don't remember who said it, but sometimes you do everything right and still get killed on this job, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, that was one of those things. They're like, well, would you have done anything different? I'm like, I don't think I would have. I would have positioned in the front, but I was already committed, right? I'm in an alley. It's a really tight street, so I was already committed. So that was that. But other than that, we hit it right in the mouth, and the kids, everybody did a great job. It's just one of those things that happened.
Right. Whew, whew. No, yeah, absolutely. He said, thank you for sharing that experience. I thought it was a great conversation we had at Water on the Fire. Or was I had a question I wanted to throw at you. Are you good with questions still? Because I still want to get the 5 questions.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Because you're on East time, so it's only 9:22 where I'm at. But I just wanted to check with you. And Rich Anderson asks, LT, are you more of a lot of tools in the toolbox guy or a strong plan A with an equally strong plan B type of officer? Where do you fall?
So here's my thing with tools and toolboxes and all that. Here's my thing. Let's stop adding shit until we know what's already in the toolbox. We don't know there's so much in that toolbox that people don't know. Learn what's in the toolbox first, then we'll worry about adding more shit. Learn what's in the toolbox first, because there's a lot there. There's a lot out there that's still there. That's a lot there. Learn what's in that first. We can always add, right? We can always get a bigger box, but let's learn and master what's in that first. That's my thing. I just think we try to, instead of being good at a couple things, we want to be great at everything, right? We all got that. We all know that guy that teaches forcible entry, ground ladders, standpipes. He teaches everything and anything. Whatever comes across that's hot that week, that this guy wants to go teach it. Really, guy? Come on. Find something you know and love in this job and learn the most you can about it, right? Learn everything you can learn about it and be good at that. It's okay. You don't have to be great at everything. Could I teach inward, outward doors, forcible entry? Yeah. Do I? No. Unless I'm with Mike Ciampo and I'm putting the wood things in and letting him talk, right? But I try to stay in my lane, and I wish more guys would do that. If this is your thing, make it your thing and make it the best thing you can make it, but stay in your lane.
Love it.
Right? And if you're using somebody's stuff, just give them credit. That's it. It's not that hard. It doesn't make you a bad instructor. Right? How many different names have I brought up tonight?
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely, man.
It adds to credibility. It doesn't take credibility away when you do that.
Dude. And master what's in your toolbox. The basics that are in your toolbox. Get those
Let's
down.
Get that. Yeah, Jimmy McCormick, another one of my mentors. And I know you got him on in a couple of weeks, and he's unbelievable.
I'm going to pick your brain, too. I'm going to pick your brain.
He says it all the time. He goes, why do we make this job harder than it is? we make this job a hell of a lot harder than it really is. If we're very good at basic skills, can you teach me an advanced engine class at my fire department? I go, well, tell me what that class consists of, and I might consider it, because being advanced is mastering the basics. That's advanced. Mastering the basics makes you an advanced firefighter.
I love it.
There's no magic pill there.
Dude, I love that. Sorry. As Marshall Boyd asked, as an engine LT, you most likely aren't pulling hose on fires anymore. Are you physically shouldering and stretching hose in training as the company officer, showing your crew how as opposed to telling them how? Do you try to keep certain skills sharp even if they aren't the ones you perform anymore on the fire ground?
Hey, look, man, I'll put hose on the ground. I have no problem putting hose on the ground. I'll stretch hose. But I'm fortunate enough, we did that class. We did the hands-on here at Firehouse. I stretched a bunch of hose, With my guys, though, I have a couple young guys that are 6, 8, 9-year guys that I'm starting to give them the reins more to do more teaching and do more talking and do more of this. I've taken a step back from it. But will I put hose on the ground? Absolutely. Will I vertically stretch with them? Absolutely. If you're not willing to do that, you probably shouldn't be the engine boss. But you have to keep your skills sharp too.
Right on.
I may not stretch with my guys at work all the time. Why? Because I just stretched 65 times in a Stretching for Success class this week. You know what I mean? And they know that. But I'm trying to get those guys in a position. And when you have younger guys like that, 8, 10-year guys, those middle of the road guys, let them teach. Let them teach. Let them get that experience of talking in front of people and talking. If you're teaching with me and you teach the subject and you get done and you maybe didn't hit quite everything I wanted you to, I'm going to look right at you and go, Corley, those are all great points. Nice job. There's a couple other small things I want to add, though.
Right.
You don't hammer the guy that he missed the points. You just pick up where he left off and fill in the blanks.
Right on.
You're not going to get guys to buy in when you make them look dumb. Hold on now. I don't necessarily agree with that, but let's talk about that a little bit, right? There's a way to do that without being an asshole. And there's a time to be that guy and a time not to be that guy. But the original question was, do I still stretch hose? Yes. Do I do it as often as they do it? No.
Right on. But they know you can, especially when like you said. Yeah. But yeah, 100%. George Sorge said, grooming the next officer, which is exactly what you're talking about with that 6, 8, 10-year guy.
Yeah. So here's the other thing. I'm going to say this out here, and I think I may get in trouble. I may not. I don't care, but I do care, but I don't care. If I got a young guy going to get promoted, right? Stick him in the seat and jump in the back. He's got to start making decisions from that seat. Now, am I going to let him make a bad decision? No, right. I'm not. But seeing things at night from that seat is completely different than looking at it just riding out of class here or there. 100%. It's a completely different game. And having guys feel more comfortable having an experienced boss back there.
Yeah.
To give them that leeway, they know they can. You're not going to let them make a huge mistake. But mistakes are going to happen. It's okay.
No, and that's you set that tone. And what better security blanket than Steve Robertson riding backwards back there?
Well, it's whoever, right?
Yeah.
Whoever.
But no, I'm just
matter, but it's that experience of them in the seat, and you still got that buffer there. I think it's a big thing.
And letting them know you have their back, and it's okay.
I got your back. You know what? I'm not going to let you make a bad decision.
Awesome, man. Okay, let them. Yeah, George again said, let them walk the plank, but not off the plank.
Exactly.
I love that. I've never heard that.
You let them walk. Yep, I like that. I like that analogy. I tell the guys all the time. People say, "How do you do this? How do you do that?" I said, "I run a tight shipwreck." That's basically what I do.
Yes.
Yeah, I run a tight shipwreck. It's a shit show sometimes. Is that the reality of a firehouse? Yes.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to hit it up and say, I always like asking my guests if they have book or books that they think firefighters should be reading. Doesn't have to be a fire book, just anything you think. I love reading, so I always like to ask this question.
I read more articles than I do books. I will say that. But I still think there's some staples out there that are absolutely relevant today. Chief McGrail's book on high-rise firefighting, that's still a staple that needs to be read, especially if you're going to be a company officer. I think that Chief Norman's book of tactics is a staple book that needs to be read. I think Chief Dunn's book, Collapse, I think that's another staple book, that there's still so much pertinent information in these older books.
Yes.
But they're still there. Those are three I would say that are, you just really need to bear down. And look, it was one of the hardest reads I ever did, and that was Brannigan's book, construction book. Holy Lord, that's a tough read.
It's dry.
But the amount of information and quality information that's in there is second to none. I mean, it's legit shit that is going to affect you, and you're going to see it in your career.
Love it. Dude, awesome. Okay. On the Weekly Scrap, we have a thing we do. It's called the 5 Questions for Firefighters. The answers are completely your opinion. There are no right or wrong. And the points are completely arbitrary, assigned by me. So, Steve Robertson, are you ready for the 5 Questions for Firefighters?
Let's go.
All right. Number 1. What is the number 1 issue facing the modern fire service?
The number 1 issue facing the modern fire service, I truly believe, is the lack of problem solving and the lack of teaching how to problem solve. We all bitch about millennials and this and that. Well, hold on a minute. We created that issue. And what I mean by that is we're not actively teaching problem solving as a boss or a mentor. So a lot of these folks coming up, as they were growing up, every time they hit adversity, what do you think they did? Somebody fixed it for them. Somebody fixed it for them. That's not their fault. But we need to start challenging that group of firefighters, that younger group, and say, okay, come to me with a possible solution and we'll talk about it. I'm not going to fix it for you. We're going to work through it together. But we have to start getting these folks into solving their own problems. And that, I'm not picking on the generation.
Right. No, I get you. I get what you're saying.
But if we don't start mentoring that and hitting that head on, in 15 years, when this group is up here in the administration level, we're in deep shit.
Right on.
We are going to be in big, big trouble if we don't start addressing that soon.
So if I bring it full circle back to where we started, it really comes down to setting an expectation that they're going to solve problems.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And look, I'm not saying I'm not going to help you solve them, but you're going to come to me with some possible solutions and we'll work through them. Don't just come and say, this is broke. Okay. What do you think we should do about that?
Right.
Well, I don't know. Okay. Well, let me do this, and this, and we'll fix it. What do you think we should do about that? When you figure that out and we start digging into this, then we'll talk about it.
Let's do it. Right.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. And the cool part is it's so hard. After asking these, the 5 questions, all the low-hanging fruit has been grasped. So whenever I get a new answer, I'm very intrigued by it. And that is the lack of problem solving has never been given as an answer. I love it. So, of course, max points for a fresh new answer. 100%. Lack of problem solving. Number 2, what is the thing you are most excited about for the future of firefighting?
I think technology is pretty cool, man. There's some good. I mean, just looking back at from where I started and the changes that have been made, I think the technology is awesome. I think it's a great thing. But man, I just hope we pump the brakes a little bit. Don't put too much into electronics. I've never seen water and electronics work for any period of time. But we keep making shit more electric and throwing water on it, and I don't know why we're doing that. But I think there's good and bad with that. I think the technology stuff is important. I think that's exciting. I think the second thing is a 2-part answer to that. I'm excited to watch the fire service reset. And what I mean by reset is when the exterior study came out and the entire fire service changed to exterior water without having all the information, I think we're winning now. I think we're starting to win now. And what I mean, and I'm excited about that because we got so many good guys out there preaching the message of, look, I'm not talking against exterior water, but I am talking about interior water, right? The entire fire service changed based on half the information. Go back to what Brian said. You have to have all the information to understand the situation. We changed the entire fire service based off one study, not knowing what the other half of the study was. So I'm excited about that as well, that we're getting back to doing what we should have been doing the whole time. And you know what? Shout out to Ray McCormick and a lot of dudes that fought and fought and fought. And here's the thing. They were right the whole time. The whole time they were right. And you know what? Half these chiefs still have not read the interior study. And that's criminal. That's criminal. They changed their entire fire department based on half a study, and they haven't read the interior study that debunks it. That debunks a lot of the stuff that was derived off of that. It shows that interior water increases survivability. It shows the lift we get when we're flowing. It shows when we complete the flow path that all the bad shit that's down there is coming up.
Oh, yeah, the sheer air entrainment issues. I mean, it's just...
So
yes.
Why are we not pushing that? So that's kind of a two-part answer. Sorry.
Dude, it's a great answer. Great answer. And I love the passion behind it, man. So killer answer so far. Number 3, excuse me. The best rank or position to be in the fire service.
Lieutenant of the engine company. I can't imagine. I stayed lieutenant, number one, because I was too damn stupid to be a captain, but I could never pass the test, believe that or not. But I like just a lieutenant on the engine company. I got a captain that runs the house. He's a great captain. Bill Griffith does an unbelievable job, but I like managing my guys. I like watching them grow. I like having that engine house feel of just being the crew. I really enjoy where I'm at. Everybody's like, I can't believe you didn't go on. And I'm like, well, it's pretty damn hard when you got outstanding men and you've got a great district and a great chief. It's pretty hard to get motivated to study, to move on when you want to be part of that every day. So I think it's lieutenant on the engine.
Love it. But lieutenant there is company officer, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm making sure because company officer is always max points. So just so you know, I think it's the greatest job ever. So since I pass out the points, since I pass out the points, that's always
that's the way it is.
Number 4, the best advice you have ever received.
Best advice I've ever received. I got it. It's going to be from Ray McCormick. And again, I'm truly blessed to have Ray and Mike Champo. And you could go down the line. I mean, hell, I sat and talked to Chief John Salko the other day at Firehouse for almost 2 hours. Blessed to have all these guys that I can bounce stuff off of. But when Ray sat me down basically on the phone and just said, dude, you're not happy. Control what you can control. And that really changed my mindset as far as a company officer, as far as my guys, as far as being in a better mood at the Firehouse. It really did, because I realized that I am making a difference, even if it's at the company level and the battalion level. I'm still making a difference with what I'm doing, right? And if they want more than that, then they know how to get a hold of me. And I'm just a much happier person, and I think the more I live that, the more I think the more the battalion and my guys are getting out of me, because I'm in a better mood and I'm more willing to go do stuff because of that. Not worrying about what everybody else thinks.
Sure. No, that's powerful. So solid, man. And you get it from Ray McCormick, you know what I'm saying? How do you beat that?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just like I'm truly blessed just to have these guys in my life. And I had Tom Kenny was a good friend of mine, and TK was up in Hyannis, Cabinet Hyannis, and just an unbelievable man. He always said it's okay to love the job, Stevie. And I have that slide is in the beginning of every one of my programs I do. But Tom Kenny was a guy that when I called, when I had a fire, Tom had almost 40 years on. I'm like, I'm not sure, TK, what do you think? He goes, yeah, let me think on this one. I'll get back with you. Well, when he said that, you knew you were coming back and you probably made some mistakes. He didn't always give you, I get it. That's part to me of being a good mentor is don't just give the answer they want you to give. Right. You got to be honest. And sometimes you got to eat a little crow. You screwed it up. You screwed it up. But if you're going to mentor somebody, expect that, hell, I've gotten on Anthony Roette more than once. And I like Anthony. We're good friends, but you know what? If you want to be a part of that, you want me to be a part of that, it's get to know the individual, number one. And number two is be honest. And sometimes it's brutally honest and might hurt your feelings, but guess what? You asked for that, right? You want to be a part of this. You want to listen. Sometimes it's not always easy.
Love it. Dude, that's strong. Good. And this is the thing. I asked you what's the best advice you ever received, and we've been talking here for, I'm not sure because we had the screw up and everything like that, but we're pushing 2 hours. And I'm just saying that I think you've given me like 7 or 8 at least the quotes from advice you've received from powerful people, man. It's just strong. So, yeah, that's me just giving you a huge compliment as far as it's just, yeah, there's so much advice. Last question of the 5 questions for firefighters. Heavy fire, searchable space, would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
Pipe.
Period.
Pipe.
Just one word answer. I kind of knew the answer.
If the fire goes out, everything gets better.
Love it.
If we're doing our job and we gain space, we're going to gain space. We're winning battle space, as Chief Dunn would say. We don't want to give that space back. We don't want to fight for land. We don't want to fight for the same territory twice. So to me, when we fight in there and we keep flowing water, we doing other things, that's pretty important to me. And I think if we do our job, it's going to make their job a whole lot easier.
No, 100%. And tying right back into the interior study of, the super long name of effects on interior, exterior, on victim and firefighter survivability. Everything about that bears that out. As far as when you get water in there, it makes better for everybody far away from it.
So Andy Frederick said it years ago. And in several of his articles and in a couple of lectures, I heard Andy speak, and it was put the line between the fire and the victims. He knew that in the 80s, right? He knew that in the 80s and 90s, that's what we needed to do. There was no scientific thing behind it, but now we have the science behind it, the great work Keith Stakes and Kerber and all those guys have done up there. Mike Alt was a big part of that. All those guys kicked ass. Now we have science to prove what we already knew. We knew it, but you had to take my word for it because I didn't have the science to prove it.
Right.
Unless you were on the line with me, you didn't see it work. So now we've taken all that experience of these old guys. You have science to back it up. And now we have a teachable product. We have a teachable product that we can pass on as vetted information that's knowledge and experience based and has science to back it up. That doesn't happen very often.
No, it's beautiful.
A lot of it's opinion,
Dude, there it is. The 5 questions for firefighters, according to Steve Robertson. LT, you absolutely crushed it. The whole thing. Putting up with my technical incompetence and just absolutely just dropping knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb. And it was so good that this might be the least amount of interaction I've had with the audience because I was just sitting here just listening, and you crushed it. Tell people how they can get a hold of you, book a class, etc.
Stretching for Success on Facebook is probably the easiest way. CFD Robertson at Gmail's my email address. We're booking into next year right now. I had a long talk with my wife, and yeah, we're going to take a look at how much I'm booked. The rest of the year is pretty rough. So, I'm blessed to have her in my life, and she's able to travel with me. Our kids are grown, so if she wasn't able to travel with me, I probably wouldn't be able to do half of what I do. And I'm just blessed to have her and allow her to. She allows me to be passionate and chase my passion, and goes on the road with me and understands that. And that you'll find her usually in Pensacola Beach, in the shallow end hopefully with a cocktail in her hand and talking to her friends. And we call it our road family because we're together so much. Todd Edwards and Ray and me and Kurt and Brush and all these guys, Dennis, and it really is. It's a road family. We see each other so much. Kyle Robbins, Anthony, all these guys, and Andy Plofka, Jerry Herbst. It's just a great big family of guys that are like-minded people. And if you haven't been to a conference, I'm not telling you got to go spend a boatload of money to go to a conference. Check out something local, though. Get outside your little box and start listening to other folks because it's going to open your mind to things. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to change. But it's going to open your mind to other people's opinions, and I think that's part of growing.
It's awesome. And all those names you just mentioned, every one of them, they one thing they all have in common is they're leaving it better than they found it. Your name included, sir. And it's been a really great scrap. Real quick, we got coming up. We're doing 4 scraps in 9 days because of my terrible planning and scheduling. So in a couple days, Craig Salloway, I hope I'm saying his name right, from Fit to Fight Fire, he's coming on to talk about his book, The Backstep. I got notes and stuff. It's coming up. I actually booked him on my son's birthday, and I said, dude, I'm sorry, man, my bad. I have to move it. He's like, no problem, no problem. And then I put him on the day before my daughter's birthday, which I was on duty for my daughter's birthday. So guess what was on the day I booked him? So I had to call and say, dude, I'm sorry. He's super gracious. He's coming up on Wednesday. So that's the reason for all these crammed in here, because of my terrible job. And then somebody that I'm super excited about, Jim McCormick, is coming up at the end of the week, I think on Sunday, the 26th. Super excited. I'm going to call you and pick your brain because I want to get some questions to ask. You know.
Oh, he's you know, again, there's another guy. I'm fortunate enough. Usually at H-Rock, you know, Jimmy and Cap Morris are there, and we're up in the room upstairs, and I get to sit and talk to those two guys that are just absolute legends and bounce stuff off of, and just absolute gentlemen, both of them. And you know, to get out there and talk to guys like this, that's the great thing about these conferences. They're there. They're there to be there for you. They're there to ask questions. We're there to do those things. We're there to be available, right? That's the idea behind the smaller conferences. I like it. Dude, I enjoy doing it.
I'm addicted to them. It's so, yeah. Besides just firing you up, it's the relationships, the personal networks you can form and relationships you can form is unreal.
So I am writing a new class right now. I got it over half done. It's a new lecture. It's going to be called Engine Company Tactical Traps. So look for that. I'm going to try to get it buttoned up here in the next couple months. I still got some information I'm vetting on some things.
Right on.
But it's basically going to be it's just going to be the solution-oriented stuff that I talked about on common mistakes.
Love it. So you're going to wrap it up by the end of the year, and when are you going to try and unveil it?
I'll
try to pin you down.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I got a couple things coming up that are pretty big. I can't speak on, but there's some good stuff coming, and I'm super excited to be a part of, and it's going to be a pretty good year. I'm pretty excited for next year. That's for sure.
Well, man, I'm excited because the Engine Company Traps is going to be awesome. So I can't wait to catch it. Yep. There it is, guys. I won't even. I got one more thing I want to talk about. Next scrap, we are announcing the name of the mutt or the pit. He's going to get a name, so he needs a name. The mascot needs a name for the Mutts Don't Scrap pit, and so we're going to announce the name next scrap. Other than that, man, guys, unbelievable. The unsung heroes of the scrap is always the audience and their great questions and their great interaction. And thank you guys for putting up again with my technical glitches. Steve Robertson, I don't know how I can say thank you enough for giving me your evening, but it was an awesome.
No, thank you. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoy these things because, you know, the whole thing. It's about sharing, man. I'm all about sharing the information. If I'm not sharing it, then what are we doing? You know. Again, if you have more questions, you know, the class, literally, there's an hour and 45 of Stretching for Success. There's a 4-hour version. There's an 8-hour version.
Wow.
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of material there that you can't do it all in one shot, but, you know, it's you just keep plugging away at it. Keep plugging away and, you know, just challenge your young guys every day. Challenge your folks every day to be a little bit better doing something. And number 2, challenge yourself. Fix a problem today. Fix a common problem. Fail together. Succeed together. But keep moving forward.
Dude, that's a powerful message. And there it is, number 104 in the books. Steve Robertson absolutely killed it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Corley. Appreciate you having me.
I hope the tone stays silent unless it's burning. Stay safe out there.